Okay, and the crown. So the crown is Sahasrara in Sanskrit. It means 1,000 petals. And there's a particularly beautiful chakra right on top of the head, or you could say slightly above the top of the head, or you could even say that the point of light that is the beginning of the chakra is inside the head. So just as with the first and second chakra, they share a common source in the middle of the pelvis, I would say that the third eye and the crown share a common source as a point of light around the centre of the head. And so the crown's coming up from that point of light. The third eye comes forwards from that point of light. So you've got the crown on top of the head, and again it's a kind of cone shaped, coming upwards from here, and it can be experienced as swirling energy above the top of the head. It can also be experienced in other ways. I think maybe I mentioned before ants crawling. Did I mention ants crawling on top of your head? Always in the same direction. They always go around in the same way. That's how you know it's not real ants. Real ants would just randomly walk around. So if you notice something walking around in a circle, that's the crown starting to open. Tingling sensations on the top of the head, sparkles of light, sort of being able to look upwards and see sparkles of light above the top of the head with our inner vision. And then some quite, when it really opens, when it really starts to open, you can get sensations like an upturned bowl sitting on top of your head, made of light, or petals opening. If you imagine 100 petals sitting on top of your head, just curling, starting to curl upwards, one at a time. An absolutely bizarre sensation to experience. And that's why sometimes it's referred to as a 1,000-petal lotus, because a lotus flower has these petals around it.
What if it's opening prematurely?
Okay, so the crown chakra is actually quite an unstable chakra. And unstable means that it's difficult to control what's happening at the crown. And maybe tonight I'll just, because we've only got a few more minutes, tonight I'll talk about the symptoms of the opening crown and the symptoms of an unopened crown. And tomorrow night I'll talk about the sort of dynamics of energetic awakening. You know, how we would know if something's happening too soon, prematurely, or things are happening at the right time. So I'll leave that till tomorrow night because it's quite an involved subject, and what to do about it as well. So tonight, just looking at the energetic aspects. The energetic aspect associated with the crown is bliss, or you could say pure bliss consciousness. So as we rise up into the crown, we feel bliss. So the negative symptoms when it's closed is simply the absence of bliss. If we don't experience bliss, then that's a closed crown chakra. So it's a very beautiful experience to go through, to experience the awakening of the crown. There are some negative symptoms associated with it, so it's not just the absence of bliss. If the crown is opening, as the crown starts to open, we can feel ungrounded, a sense of being ungrounded or disconnected with reality. If you see people wandering around, looking lost, that can be a symptom of their crown chakra starting to open. Sometimes you can get bliss and the symptom of being ungrounded at the same time. So someone's wandering around lost and they don't care because they're in bliss. So those people are fun to work with. But it's a very beautiful. It's ecstatic as well when the petals are opening, when the prana's coming up. And it's an ecstatic experience. To get ecstatic bliss at the same time. So once these higher chakras are opening, you know, in terms of the journey of yoga, you've got it's a bit like a journey that can start off. You know, it's like climbing a mountain, and you've got to get to the bottom of the mountain first, and that can be sort of a bit of a trek. But and that's like the first 3 chakras. You've got to deal with those. And then you start going up the mountain, and when you're going up the mountain, you start seeing the views down over the valley, and it's all very beautiful. So yoga's like that. Once you get to the heart, things start to get very beautiful. And then as you move up through the throat, the third eye and the crown's a little bit like sitting on top of the mountain, and just looking out on the view. It's not quite the end of the journey, as I mentioned. Last night or the night before was actually a coming back down of Kundalini into the heart again. So there's one part in the ARP lessons where Yogani says that the journey can begin at the heart and then move through the heart as Kundalini rises and then come back down and end at the heart. So in a very real sense, yoga is very much about the heart. It's the pretty much the center of everything. So love is the center of everything in yoga, with a lot of bliss happening on the way.